Starving to death takes weeks, but your body decides you're going to die in the first 24 hours. Everything after that is in survival. It's your body slowly disassembling itself in very specific, very deliberate order. And the order it chooses will surprise you. In 1944, a doctor named Ansel Keys wanted to answer a question nobody could ethically test. What actually happens to a human body and a human mind when food disappears? World War II had just shown the world famine on a scale never recorded before. Millions were starving across Europe, and nobody had real data on how to bring a starved person back from the edge without killing them in the process. So Keyes built an experiment. He recruited 36 healthy young men, conscientious objectors, who wanted to serve without fighting. They were physically and mentally screened to be the picture of normal, strong, stable, unremarkable. For 3 months, they ate normally, while scientists recorded every detail of their baseline health. Then the starving began. For 6 months, these men lived on roughly 1,570 calories a day, less than half of what their bodies needed. Thin soup, root vegetables, small amounts of bread. No more than that, ever. And Keyes watched, in real time, what a starving human being actually becomes. Here's what nobody expected. The first thing to go wasn't muscle. It wasn't organs. It was their minds. Within weeks, these formerly stable, high-functioning men became obsessed with food. Not hungry, obsessed. They talked about food constantly. They dreamed about it. Some started collecting cookbooks and recipes despite having no food to cook. One man began arranging and rearranging his small meals into elaborate presentations before eating them, sometimes taking over an hour to finish a portion that should have taken 5 minutes. Their personalities changed. Men who had volunteered specifically because they were calm, cooperative, and mentally resilient became irritable and anxious. Several developed symptoms indistinguishable from clinic depression, and 2 had complete emotional breakdowns. This wasn't weakness. This was a brain being physically deprived of the fuel it needed to regulate itself. But the body was quietly running its own program under all of this, and it followed an order that never changes. The first thing your body burns is glycogen, sugar stored in your liver and muscles. That's gone within 24 hours. This is the moment the hook promised. 24 hours in, and your body has already decided. It shifts from burning what's easy to burning what's necessary. Next comes fat. Your body starts breaking down fat stores for energy, and for a while, this works well. Fat is dense, efficient fuel. This is why healthy adults can survive weeks without food. Fat is a savings account your body built for exactly this scenario. A memory for every famine your ancestors ever survived. But fat runs out, and when it does, your body makes a decision that should terrify you. It starts eating muscle, not because it wants to, because it has no other choice left. Protein gets broken down into amino acids, converted into glucose, just to keep your brain running. Your body is quite literally consuming itself, tissue by tissue, to keep the most important organ alive one more day. This is where the men in Minnesota began to visibly change. Their muscles wasted, their body fat dropped to nearly nothing. Some lost over 25% of their original body weight. Their heart rate slowed down, their body temperatures dropped, their hearts, made of muscle like everything else, began to shrink too. And here's the part almost nobody talks about. The body doesn't sacrifice everything equally. It has a hierarchy. Skeletal muscles go first, the muscles used to walk, to lift, to work. Then it moves to the heart and other organs, but only when it has absolutely no other option left. The brain is protected until the very end, at the direct expense of every other system in the body. This same brutal hierarchy played out on a far larger scale just a few years earlier. In the siege of Leningrad, for nearly 900 days, over 2 million people were cut off from food, trapped inside a city under siege. People ate wallpaper paste for the trace amounts of flour inside it. They boiled leather belts for the collagen. Diaries from that time describe the same psychological changes seen in Minnesota, except with far higher stakes. People became fixated on food to the point of hallucination. Family bonds frayed under the pressure of hunger, and doctors documented the same physical stages: fat loss, then muscle wasting, then organ failure, playing out in real time across the entire population. What both of these events revealed is that starvation isn't really about running out of food. It's about your body running out of things it's willing to sacrifice. And there's final cruelty in all of this that Keyes discovered almost by accident. Refeeding a starved body is more dangerous than the starvation itself. When the Minnesota volunteers were finally allowed to eat normally again, some developed a condition known as refeeding syndrome. Their bodies had adapted so completely to scarcity that sudden abundance caused catastrophic shifts in electrolytes, sometimes fatal ones. Bodies that had survived months of near total deprivation could be killed by a full meal. Some of the volunteers never fully recovered psychologically. Even years later, several reported ongoing anxiety around food, hoarding tendencies, and an inability to ever feel fully full again. Their bodies had learned a lesson they could never fully unlearn. You are still carrying a version of that lesson right now, even though you've probably never been within 1,000 miles of true starvation. The mild hunger you feel skipping a single meal, the irritability, the difficulty concentrating, the sudden obsession thoughts about food. That's not overreaction. That's the same ancient emergency system Keyes documented, just running at the lowest possible settings. Your body doesn't know the difference between missing lunch and famine. It only knows one thing: food is missing, and it needs to respond. For nearly the entire history of our species, hunger meant real danger. Bodies that hoarded fat efficiently and reacted to scarcity with urgency were the ones that survived long enough to pass that programming on. You inherited that programming. Every single one of us did. The 36 men in Minnesota didn't die. Keyes made sure of that. But for 6 months, their bodies ran the same ancient program that killed millions of people throughout human history, just slowly and under careful observation. What he proved is that starvation was never simply about the absence of food. It was about watching, in exact order, everything a human body is willing to give up just to keep the lights on a little longer. Muscle before organs, body before mind, everything before the brain. Your body has never forgotten how to do this. It's just been waiting, quietly, for the famine that for most of us never comes.